There's a specific kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. You know the one. You wake up after 8 hours and somehow feel more tired than when you closed your eyes. You go through your morning routine on autopilot, coffee, shower, commute. And somewhere between brushing your teeth and sitting at your desk, you realize you've disappeared from your own life. It's not dramatic. There's no catastrophic event, no trauma you can point to, just a slow erosion of something essential. You look at your calendar and feel nothing. You scroll through your phone and feel nothing. You sit across from people you're supposed to love and feel like you're watching them through glass. Everything is fine, and nothing is fine. You have the job, the apartment, the relationship maybe, the routine that everyone says you should want. But something died inside, and you can't name it. You can't point to it on an X-ray or explain it at dinner parties. You just know that the person moving through your days isn't really you anymore. They're a well-rehearsed performance of you. Here's what nobody tells you. What if what you call depression is actually your soul's last act of self-preservation? What if the numbness, the exhaustion, the complete lack of enthusiasm for a life that looks perfectly acceptable from the outside, what if that's not a malfunction? What if it's the most intelligent thing your psyche has ever done? Think about it. When you're walking toward a cliff in the dark, wouldn't it be intelligent for your body to stop moving? When you're living a life that's killing your soul, wouldn't it be wise for your psyche to withdraw its energy, to refuse to participate, to go on strike, until you finally pay attention? Carl Jung understood this, not as theory, but as lived truth. He saw that the soul refuses to live someone else's story. It will shut down, go dark, withdraw all energy from a life that doesn't belong to it. And this refusal, this shutdown, it's not weakness. It's the last stand of your authentic self. Your pain is not proof you're broken. It's proof something in you refuses to die. This isn't about positive thinking or productivity hacks. This is about archaeological work, excavating who you were before the world told you who to be. The journey ahead is uncomfortable, necessary, and ultimately liberating. If this already feels like it's speaking to something you've been afraid to name, stay with me. This is for souls in transition, for people brave enough to question everything. You are wearing a suit of armor you forgot you put on, somewhere around age 7, maybe 12, definitely by 25. You learned which version of yourself was acceptable, which parts got approval, which parts got love. And slowly, methodically, you built a persona around those acceptable parts. The persona is not evil. It's a survival mechanism. It's how you learn to navigate family dinners, job interviews, first dates. It's the social face you wear, so the world doesn't devour you whole. Jung saw this clearly. We all need masks to function. But here's the tragedy: we protect ourselves into prison. We wear the armor so long we forget there's skin underneath. When was the last time someone asked, "How are you really?" and you told the truth? Not the polished version, not the socially appropriate response, the actual truth. Most of us can't remember. The persona is useful until it becomes your whole identity, until you can no longer distinguish between the role you play and the self you've buried beneath it. That's when the disconnect begins. That's when depression stops being a chemical imbalance and becomes something else entirely. A refusal, a revolt, your authentic self going on strike. You might be a successful professional who feels like an imposter every single day, not because you lack competence, but because you're competent at something that was never truly yours. You might be in a relationship that looks perfect on paper, but leaves you feeling profoundly alone. Not because your partner is wrong, but because they fell in love with your mask, not your face. The most devastating realization is this: you've been so busy being who you should be that you forgot to become who you are. Jung believed everyone carries an unlived life inside them. A personal myth, he called it. The unique story only you can live, written in the language of your deepest longings, your strangest passions, your most persistent dreams. The accountant who dreams in color, the lawyer who writes poetry at 3 a.m, the parent who forgot they once wanted to paint. This myth isn't about grand gestures or radical reinvention. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's as simple as the way you notice beauty that others miss, or the questions you ask that no one else thinks to ask, or the specific way you make people feel seen. Your myth is not about what you do for a living. It's about who you are when no one's keeping score. You are not discovering purpose. You're remembering it. Close your eyes for a moment. What did you love before anyone told you what to love? Before career counselors and parental expectations and cultural programming shaped your choices? What made you lose track of time? What did you do for no reason except that it made you feel alive? That's your myth trying to speak. That's the self you buried when you learned it wasn't practical, wasn't profitable, wasn't appropriate for someone like you. We got here honestly. Family scripts told us who to become. Be responsible. Be practical. Be safe. Cultural programming showed us the acceptable paths. College, career, marriage, mortgage, retirement. Fear of disappointing others kept us walking someone else's road. And here's the thing, you're living for others, but it goes deeper than that. You don't even know what living for yourself means anymore. You've been homesick for a self you've never met. The saddest part is how subtle the betrayal was. It wasn't one big moment where you sold your soul. It was 1,000 small compromises. Choosing the major that looked good on paper instead of the one that made you come alive. Taking the job with the better salary instead of the one that scared and excited you. Dating the person your friends approved of instead of the one who saw you. Each choice seemed reasonable at the time. Each one moved you further from yourself. This is the silent violence of a well-lived wrong life. Your depression makes perfect sense when you understand it this way. The exhaustion is your psyche saying, I can't keep doing this. The numbness is protection from feeling how wrong this is. The apathy exists because nothing matters when nothing is truly yours. Your depression is your integrity trying to survive. The pain has intelligence. It deserves respect, not suppression. Understanding Carl Jung, empath, and personal development means recognizing that your symptoms are strategic, not random. They're a language, a communication from the parts of yourself that know you've drifted too far from shore. And they will keep speaking louder and louder until you finally listen. The restlessness that won't leave, the fantasy that keeps returning, the question you're afraid to ask out loud. These are not distractions. They're invitations. Jung called this the call to individuation, but don't let the academic language fool you. This call is visceral. It shows up as recurring dreams where you're living a different life. It appears as jealousy of people living boldly, even when their life isn't objectively better than yours. It manifests as physical symptoms that every medical test says shouldn't exist. As sudden rage at small things because you can't express rage at the big thing, the fundamental wrongness of your daily existence. Jung himself experienced this at 37. Successful psychiatrist, respected colleague, stable family. Everything society said should make him happy. And yet he felt like he was suffocating. His breakdown wasn't a failure. It was his unconscious demanding he stop living for external validation and start living for internal truth. Your unconscious mind knows your myth even when your ego doesn't. It speaks in dreams, those strange nighttime stories that seem absurd until you realize they're showing you what your waking life refuses to see. It speaks through irrational impulses, the sudden urge to move across the country, to learn an instrument, to quit everything and start over. It speaks through what you judge in others, because often what you condemn outside yourself is what you've exiled inside yourself. Pay attention to your reactions. The person whose freedom annoys you, that's your own caged wildness trying to break through. The artist whose impracticality frustrates you, that's your own creativity you've starved. The friend who sets boundaries, and you call them selfish, that's your own desperate need for self-preservation. You've been denying. What you envy reveals what you're meant to become. What you fear might be the threshold you need to cross. Here's a question: if your depression could speak, what would it say? It's protecting you from not what it's doing to you, but what it's protecting you from. The answer is usually the same. It's protecting you from continuing to abandon yourself. Then there's the shadow, the parts of yourself you locked away to be acceptable. You are a house with rooms you sealed at age 12. The loud part, the weird part, the angry part, the needy part, the ambitious part. Whatever didn't fit the image you needed to project, you exiled. But here's what Jung and those studying Carl Jung, empath, and personal development discovered: the shadow isn't evil. It's unlived potential. It's every quality you rejected, every dream you dismissed, every version of yourself you killed to survive. And the energy you spend repressing all of that is the energy you call depression. Think about how much effort it takes to maintain the repression, to keep the lid on your anger, your ambition, your sensitivity, your strangeness, to perform normalcy when everything in you wants to scream, to smile through conversations that bore you to tears, to pretend you're satisfied when you're starving. That effort, that constant vigilance, that's what's exhausting you. Not the demands of your life, but the demands of your performance. Integration doesn't mean acting on every impulse. It means acknowledging every part, bringing the exiled pieces back into consciousness, asking, what would the 8-year-old version of me think of my life now? Would they recognize me? Would they be proud or heartbroken? Every part of you that you've rejected is waiting to become your power. Jung saw the midlife crisis, though it can happen at any age, as a sacred moment. Not a pathology, but a psycho-spiritual emergency. The moment when the persona cracks and the self underneath demands to be seen. The ego feels terror because its entire identity is built on the persona. If I'm not who I thought I was, who am I? And the self, that deeper organizing principle of your psyche, finally gets to answer. We can find out now. There are people who let their lives fall apart and found themselves in the rubble. The executive who had a breakdown and became a therapist. The doctor who quit medicine and opened a bookstore. The perfect mother who admitted she needed to be more than just a mother. These aren't cautionary tales. They're maps. But here's the hardest question Jung asks: are you willing to be disliked for being yourself? You've spent years being loved for who you're not. Can you survive being misunderstood for who you are? This is the crossroads: comfort or aliveness. You cannot have both. Suffering with purpose is different from suffering without it. One destroys you slowly. The other builds you into something you didn't know you could become. So how do you actually do this? How do you find your way back? Start with active imagination, the method Jung developed for dialoguing with the unconscious. Write a letter from your depression to you. Let it speak. What is it trying to protect you from? What is it trying to tell you? Ask your exhaustion. What are you tired of? Not just tired from. The answers will surprise you. Keep a dream journal, not to analyze symbols like a textbook, but to have a conversation. Your dreams are trying to show you what your waking mind refuses to see. Pay attention to recurring images, emotions, scenarios. They're breadcrumbs. Next, reclaim the disowned parts. Make an inventory. The creative you that died when someone laughed at your art. The wild you that got tamed by expectations. The sensitive you that learned feelings were weakness. The angry you that learned nice people don't make waves. The ambitious you that learned wanting things was selfish. Which version of yourself did you kill to survive high school? Which one died in your first relationship? Which one sacrificed itself for your career? Write them down. Name them. Mourn them. Then slowly, carefully invite them back. This isn't about regression or immaturity. It's about wholeness. The wild part of you might not mean quitting your job to backpack through Asia. It might just mean taking a different route to work, dancing in your kitchen, saying no without explaining yourself. The creative part doesn't need you to become an artist. It needs you to stop killing every original thought before it's fully formed. The sensitive part doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Now, resurrect them. Not all at once. Start small. 20 minutes a day doing something useless that feeds your soul. Drawing badly. Dancing alone. Writing things no one will read. These small acts are rebellion. They're practice for living your own life. You don't need to become someone new. You need to stop betraying who you've always been. Here's the relief: you don't need to burn your life down. Usually, you don't have to quit your job tomorrow or leave your relationship or move to another country. Those might come later, or they might not. What you have to do first is stop lying to yourself about why you're where you are. Be honest. Are you in this career because it calls to you, or because it impresses people? Are you in this city because you love it, or because leaving would disappoint your family? Are you maintaining these friendships because they nourish you, or because you've known these people since college, and ending things would feel like failure? The truth will hurt. Good. Pain is information. It tells you where the work is. Change how you do things before changing what you do. Bring consciousness to choices you've been making unconsciously. Say one honest thing per day, even if it's uncomfortable. Make one choice, however small, that's yours, and not a response to someone else's expectation. If you knew you had permission to disappoint people, what would you do differently tomorrow? Sometimes burning it down is necessary. You'll know because the thought won't leave you alone. Because every cell in your body is screaming, "This is wrong." Because staying feels like dying slowly. Trust that knowing, but most of the time, transformation is quieter. It's bringing your real self to the life you already have and seeing what shifts. Meaning isn't found, it's constructed. Daily. Here's how to one thing that only you can do in the way, only you can do it. It doesn't have to be grand. It has to be true. Maybe you're a teacher who stays after class, not because you're required to, but because you genuinely see potential in a struggling student that others have written off. Maybe you're a nurse who remembers patients' names and asks about their grandchildren, turning medical care into human connection. Maybe you're a cashier who makes eye contact and means it when you ask how someone's day is going. These small acts matter because they come from your authentic caring, not your job description. Ask yourself, what would I do if I knew no one would see it? That reveals intrinsic meaning. What would I fight for even if I lost? That reveals your values. What breaks my heart about the world? That reveals your purpose direction. The path forward for those engaged with Carl Jung empath and personal development is not about sudden enlightenment. It's about small daily choices that add up to a life that's actually yours. It's about integrity, which doesn't mean moral perfection. It means internal consistency. Your actions matching your values, your outside matching your inside. And you can't do this alone. Jung knew this. You need witnesses, not cheerleaders. People who see you, not your mask. People who love you more accurately, not just more comfortably. Some relationships will not survive your awakening. That's not failure. That's honesty. The right people will meet you where you are. What changes when you change? Not happiness, something deeper. Aliveness. You might still have hard days, but they'll be your hard days, not someone else's script. You'll be tired sometimes, but it'll be the good kind of tired. The tired that comes from living your life instead of avoiding it. There's a specific feeling that comes with this shift. Suddenly, Mondays don't fill you with existential dread. Not because work becomes magical, but because you're showing up as yourself. Difficult conversations become less draining because you're not managing a performance. You stop checking your phone compulsively because you're actually present in your own life. Small moments, a good cup of coffee, a conversation with a stranger. The way light hits the wall, they start to matter again. Your relationship with yourself transforms. Instead of suspicion and disappointment, there's respect, curiosity, trust. You stop waiting for permission to exist. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Depression taught you what doesn't work. Purpose teaches you what does. Living your myth daily looks like this: making choices that make sense to you, even if you can't defend them to others. Feeling grief and joy more intensely because you're finally present. Disappointing some people and being okay with it. Attracting different opportunities, aligned ones. Having less needing, less being, more. You might lose friends who only knew your persona. You might confuse family members who preferred the predictable version of you. You might make choices that look like steps backward to people who measure success in titles and salaries. And you'll be okay. Not because you've become callous, but because you've become honest. The people who matter will stay. The ones who love the real you, messy and uncertain and evolving, they'll lean in closer. New people will appear drawn to your authenticity, like they've been waiting for someone to give them permission to be real too. This is not about winning. It's about not dying while you're alive. It's about reaching the end of your life and recognizing yourself, not wondering who that stranger in the mirror was. Individuation isn't a destination, it's an orientation. You will get lost again. That's not failure, that's being human. Life will throw you off course. You'll catch yourself performing again, shrinking again, abandoning yourself in small ways because old patterns die hard and fear is persistent. The difference now is you know what being lost feels like, and you know the way back. You've developed an internal compass. You can feel the disconnection faster. You can catch yourself mid-betrayal and course correct. Not perfectly, never perfectly, but more quickly than before. 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll look back at today as the day you stopped pretending. Not the day you figured everything out, but the day you admitted you'd been living a lie and decided to try something different. Truth. If you're still here, something in you already knows the truth. You are not depressed because you're broken. You're breaking open. The shell you've been living in is cracking, and yes, it's painful, and yes, it's terrifying. But underneath, there's something real. Something that's been waiting your whole life to breathe. The pain that brought you here is the same pain that will carry you forward. It's not your enemy. It never was. It's been your most loyal friend, the only part of you that refused to participate in the lie. Honor it. Use it. Become through it. This journey you're on, this return to yourself, it's the most important work you'll ever do. Not because it will make you successful or admired or even understood, but because it will make you real. And real, even if it's messy and uncertain and sometimes lonely, is the only thing worth being. In the comments, complete this sentence. The part of me I abandoned was, Let's build a community of people brave enough to come home to themselves. And check the pinned comment for resources designed specifically for this journey. Welcome back to yourself. The road is long, but you're finally on it.